We don't treat patients in a healthcare system, we treat patients in a sick care system. This is life and we need to care about it. I'm doing things to be a better version of myself every day. That this is one of the most important things that I did in my life, to become a startupper. It gives you a lot of belief in yourself. I think healthcare is the hardest place to start with AI. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. We are the OnlyFans for doctors.
So hello everyone, this is our actually first interview. We're recording offline, so I'm really pleased to welcome our today's guest. His name is Maciej Malenda. Hi Maciej.
Hi, it's a pleasure. I'm okay, thank you.
All right, so please tell us a little bit about your background and how did you get involved in digital health?
Oh, okay, so it will be pretty long story probably, because I actually started working in digital health for it was around 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And actually I didn't plan to. I just finished, or I was finishing my studies and I was moving to one of the companies in Warsaw, and it was IBM. The first, one of the first projects that I got into was the Polish e-health system. So I think I fell in love into the idea of creating e-health projects. Mm-hmm. So after that, I focused on Watson healthcare system and Watson in general, but mostly it was focused in Poland on the healthcare sector. So I was talking with digital healthcare companies, or companies that wanted to go into the digital healthcare. And then I moved to Medicover, where I became the head of innovation. The Medicover is one of the biggest Central Eastern European healthcare providers, private healthcare providers. They think now have around 1.2 million patients in 11 countries. And I stayed there for some time, and then I moved to Informatica to be the head of partnerships and focus on bringing the Informatica solution to many countries all around the world. And then I decided to create the Doctor.One. In the meantime, I still am, and I started to be in the Children's Hospital Innovations Club. This is the foundation that we created together with friends, and actually my co-founder in Doctor.One is also a founder of the Kids Foundation. In those foundations we are thinking how to digitalize and make innovations in the children's hospitals, especially in Poland. So this is the focus that we have outside of ours, because this is our voluntary work that we do. All right.
First of all, I want to talk a little bit about your IBM experience. Could you please tell us how, in general, can you describe your experience working for such a tech giant? And also, what kind of experience did you earn that is helping you right now as a startup founder?
Yeah, so this was, I think, the best experience that I could have as the first step in my professional development path. Because IBM is 400,000 people, they have a lot of processes, and of course it depends on what kind of manager or boss you have in the company. But I had a pleasure to work with one of the best, and especially one of my managers, Asha, who taught me a lot about the project management. Was actually somebody who I was laughing all the time. Created me and created the way I work. She showed me how to work with people. She showed me how to bring huge projects, because actually at some point in IBM we had 60-70 people working on e-health project that we had, and I was at the beginning the co-manager, and then I was the project manager of that people. So being still relatively young, it was I was 27, 28. I had that experience of bringing huge solutions for millions of dollars to the market. So, and this was one side. So exposure for the risk, and on the other side, a lot of processes in the good sense. So a lot of structure and how to do it properly, what to do when there's something goes wrong, like how to avoid risks, how to deal with issues, etc., how to deal with stakeholders, with the problems in your team. So there was a lot of playground that I had, that I was able to use my skills and teach my skills in this big corporation.
All right, very interesting. Well, I could not skip this question. So it's been, I think, 11 years since that famous Jeopardy game when IBM Watson won the game against like the best players ever. And that was like a great PR and advertising campaign. And IBM spent tons of money in promotion, marketing, and sales after that. And you probably did a great job doing the sales as well. So eventually we know what the results are like, and after investing billions of dollars in acquiring companies, lots of employees, IBM, I don't think they got even close to what they were advertising for. Why do you think, what happened? Why did it happen that way? And is there maybe an idea that AI is not in a prime time for healthcare right now, or IBM did it wrong?
So I think, of course, it's hard to say because, like, first of all, it's really hard to say because I wasn't in New York where they were deciding how to do it, and probably there was a lot of intelligent people deciding and to do the best thing that they could in those like 11 years ago. So what I can say is what I think only. So please keep that in mind.
Sure.
So first of all, I think IBM is great in innovation, and sometimes they overshoot the timing. So in '93 they created the first cell phone, and we know that in 2007 we had a really big times for the cell phones or smartphones with Apple. So it was like 14 years. And the same, I think, was happening with AI. They invested a lot, and I believe they created a market, because I remember when I was walking around CEE region talking about chatbots, most of the C-levels that I was talking with they were like, what's chatbot? What's chatbot? Why we should use it? And we were doing actually the education of the market. And now all of the companies that are doing the chatbots, they thanks to the IBM and the early stage investment that they did, they have opened doors because they are going to the C-level, I don't know, the CIO or the CEO or the COO, and they say, yeah, we have a chatbot, and they say, oh, okay, we understand what's that. So I believe like the one thing is that IBM is great in the prediction of trends, and they started probably a little bit too soon. And the second is connected with healthcare, and that I think healthcare is the hardest place to start with AI, because and this is where we are actually going from with the Doctor.One. It's really hard to disconnect from the social relationships with healthcare. It's really hard to say that system generated the result for you, or they advise you to do something, because there are a lot of things that are happening in between, and the weight of the decision is way different than for example, I don't know, in banking. Because at the end of the day, when you're making decision in a bank and you're doing the wrong decision about giving a credit, you lose money. But doing the wrong decision about your health, especially when IBM went into really hard conditions like cancer and chemotherapies, etc., making a wrong decision means problems with life and probably death. So the heaviness of that was really strong, and you can make only one mistake there, and there's a lot of shutout when there are mistakes. So I think there were two things. The one is that it was a little bit too soon, and the second, that the healthcare it's the most sexy place, but it's also the hardest place to start with. Even though the results, because I had some insider knowledge at some point, there were parts in IBM that the AI was way better than the doctors, but still to sell it was really hard. So I believe the future is that we have to connect the doctors and the artificial intelligence, but it's way in the future, and we should start with the better relations and better providing patient care.
I guess it sucks for IBM to open so many doors and not to make money on that.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So you've made an impressive career in different companies. Can you lead us through that decision-making process when you decided that, okay, it's time to move to the startup world, it's time to become a startup founder?
I think, like, actually, though, this decision was in me from the very beginning. Like, people that knows me always, like, they know that about me, that I am saying that from the very beginning of my life, I was the Lego kid and I was always creating things. And the decisions I made, like the IBM I was actually, it was kind of a coincidence, the happy coincidence that I had, and the good luck that I really fit with a great manager. Even in IBM, in this big corporation, I had a lot of time to think about my things and maybe create the new avenues for IBM. And the same was with Watson, because Watson wasn't actually officially introduced in Poland at that time, but I thought that maybe it's a good idea for IBM to bring it to Poland, so I started to do it on my own. They I got a allowance from, I think, European level to start doing it, but it was kind of like internal innovation in those regions of Central Eastern Europe, or at least from Poland and Baltics, because this was my official region that I was responsible for. So from the very beginning, I had this kind of entrepreneurial spirit, and also that's why I decided to move then to smaller company, because Medicover was like 20,000 people, and then to smaller, because when I was joining Informatica it was like 50, and after leaving Medicover to Informatica, from the very beginning I was even talking with Piotr, with the founder of Informatica, that probably at some point I will be willing to test myself into the entrepreneurial world, and he helped me a lot also with that, because he was showing me how he was doing it, etc. So I also have to thank him for the pleasure of working together and helping me to go beyond that. But yeah, I think it was somewhere inside of me, but the decision that I am going this way was sometime in Medicover, and I think there was a point in my life in 2018 when I went for the MIT Harvard Medical School Healthcare Innovation Bootcamp. Mm-hmm. It was like 2 weeks of the training of the bootcamp in Boston, and it was all about creating startup innovation in healthcare. And after that, they rewired my brain, and I started to fully think about my ideas, and then the idea of Doctor.One, the early stage idea of Doctor.One clicked, and I think it was like, it wasn't intentional, but I started to do things that moved me bit by bit to the direction of creating my own company. So it was somewhere like 4 years ago.
So that was a perfect introduction to Doctor.One. So tell us a little bit about the project.
Okay, so so the Doctor.One, it's a different approach to the relationship between the doctor and the patient, because in the world that we are living today, we see that doctors are not treated in a very good way in main three parts. So the first thing, they treat patients in slots, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes it's 5 minutes. So they don't have actually time to get to know patient, they just need to solve the problem. So they are more into the sick care than the healthcare. The second thing is that they don't have they don't have option to choose the patient. They are just sitting, sometimes they are even saying to us, we are sitting like in a cash register, and we are just waiting for the patients to come and go, and we are just serving them. So what's the difference between us and the people at the cash registers? And the third thing is that they don't have control over their payment, because if they want to get paid more, they need to work more. So it's not disconnected from it's not the real knowledge like it should be with healthcare. It's more connected to the time that you're spending. So they see that, for example, in IT, it's going more and more into the direction of how much you can deliver and how much knowledge you have. So if you have better knowledge, you don't have to spend so much time, but you still have, you're getting paid better. Mm-hmm. And the same is in every in every part of the world, of the business world, when you have knowledge, but in healthcare it's still by minute. It can be more or it can be less, but still it's per minute. So more time I spend working with my patients, more time I'm getting paid. So I started to think about it in a different way. I started to gather knowledge with my friends. I have friends that are doctors, and I have a lot of connections with the doctor world. So I started to collect information and thinking how to change it on one side, and on the other side, I was all the time thinking why we are thinking that, or why we are seeing the telemedical support as the worst scenario than the real visits. So we are always preferring to see each other in real life, and if it's not possible, then we are going for the telemedical support. It was before the Corona times, so right. The world was different. But then I was starting to think that how to create a world where we will be choosing the telemedical support as the first thing. So this was the basis of thinking for the Doctor.One. And then when we were looking in the 70s, 60s, the doctor-patient relationship used to be this kind of a close relationship. So the doctor was coming to the family doctor was coming to your home, and they knew about your parent and about your grandparents, and they were saying like, oh yeah, you have a rash because your father had a rash, and probably your grandfather the same, etc., etc. So they knew the whole story about your life. And this trust was the only thing that they were able to base on in the healthcare. And then we got specialized, it got randomized, and now we are going to one of 93 specializations that we have, but it's the random care with no like long time support from your one doctor. And we want to change that because we believe that for now we don't treat patients in a healthcare system, we treat patients in a sick care system. So because we only see patients when they are sick, and we want them to go back to healthcare, and it's not like that we are keeping them healthy and not letting them go to the sick mode. So this is the Doctor.One. And how we are realizing that is that we created an application for the patient and for the doctor, that it's the beginning of the hybrid care, because we believe that all of the interactions should begin in our application. So each time you have a problem, you're reaching out to your doctor. But how you can have your doctor, it's a little bit harder because you cannot have it if you don't have it. So in our system, you cannot just access the random doctor on our website or something like that. The doctor needs to invite you. So we have the doctors and they are choosing their patients and saying, we would like to invite you, or we would like to inform you that we are in Doctor.One, and we would like you to be the part of our patient group that we are treating. And thanks to that, you're getting the option to join. Of course, it's connected with some kind of subscription. It's not so high. Typically, it's less than one visit a month. So it's connected to monthly subscription. And thanks to that, you're getting access to your doctor actually all the time. So all the time you can write to the doctor. But the one thing that is enabling doctors to keep their schedules relatively empty and not be all the time in Doctor.One is that we have the idea of virtual rounds. So we borrowed it from the hospital and say like every day doctor says at each time at what time they have the virtual round. So if you're writing to your doctor, you have information, your doctor has a virtual round at 5 p.m. so he will probably answer you at that time. So you as a patient knows that at that time the doctor will answer to you and answer all your questions. It doesn't mean it will not be earlier, but it means that it will be probably not later than that hour. So you're safe knowing that there is a time that you need to wait. And on the other side, till 5 p.m. your doctor is not getting any notifications. At 5 p.m. they get a notification that the patient is waiting with the question.
But they can also call or video call?
They can also invite you for a visit. For now, we don't have our own clinics, but we have doctors that have clinics, and we are working also on a system of our own clinics. It should be somewhere in the future. So this is the beginning of the care. So they can chat. They can give you the prescription, the sick leave, or any other thing that you need, or for example the referral for the diagnostics or something like that, or call you, or come to you for the home visit, or invite you to the office for an on-site visit.
And your main target audience on the doctor side, I mean private doctors, right?
For now, we are aiming for the private doctors because we focused only on payment out of pocket. Mm-hmm. It's easier and it's a relatively big market, at least in Poland. So we want to test the idea on this market to have to actually have only two stakeholders, because if you have other payment, then you have a third stakeholder. If it's a insurance employer or any other, then it's harder. And we want to validate this first idea, so we have a patient and a doctor. That's
all right. So startup is like a new business with some kind of innovation, and it's not necessarily should be a technological innovation. Like for example, Uber. There is no technological innovation. They just at that specific moment they came up with a new business model which was innovative. So are you Uber in digital health?
Yes and no. If we want to be honest, then I think the best answer, but it's the most, like, it's partially kind of a joke too, is that we are the OnlyFans for doctors, because this is the closest thing that we can name ourselves. Because basically our doctors are gathering the fans for their work. So this is the closest thing. And yes, I think what we are changing, it's on one side we are Uberizing, and we are saying that it can be in a different way, but
the approach is different.
The approach is different, but I think what we are changing there are two things. And Uber was actually saying there are empty cars, or like there are cars that are not used to move people. So they started to use the available time in a different way. What we are trying to do is actually move existing relations, or almost existing relations, to the different channels. So we know that our doctors have phones, SMS, messages, WhatsApps of the patients, and they're often communicating that on that way. Mm-hmm. And patients doesn't like it because they feel they should pay, but they don't pay. Doctors doesn't like it because they think they should be paid and don't pay, and the whole communication is hectic, because if I will write at 10 p.m. should I write to the doctor at 10 p.m. this is the first thing, but if I will write and he will not answer, should I write again, but because maybe he didn't see, but it's after 10 p.m. so there's a lot of questions that are happening between the doctor and the patient. So we are changing this. And the second thing that we are changing, and it's actually I think harder, is the thing that we are not saying to the doctors, you need to take care of any patient that is entering your room. You are selecting the patients that you want to treat for the longer term. And those are two things that we are changing. That's why we are thinking it's more OnlyFans. It's like everybody are laughing about it, me too. But I think this is the closest thing, and we are just closing. Like we are creating kind of a micro businesses for the doctors, and say like, you see, you can treat your patients, you can have like 100 or 150 patients in your loop. Mm-hmm. And then the huge change that we see in our doctors is that they come back to us and like, like we don't spend a lot of time with Doctor.One. And we say like, yeah, we know that. And they say, yeah, because I was thinking that if the patients will be available, I will be available for the patient for the whole time.
They
text and it's not happening. And on the other side, the patients are happy because they have the doctor in the pocket, and in theory they know that the doctor will answer at some point in time, but most of the time the doctors are available in between, so they are answering to them, and they are creating these positive surprises for our patients, and the patients are surprised that the doctor is actually writing to them earlier. And the most important thing is that after 2-3 days the patient is surprised because the doctor is asking like, how are you feeling? Is the drug that I gave you better, making you better, or it's getting you worse, etc. So we are creating this social connection between the doctor and the patient, and the patient knows that they have a doctor that keeps them healthy and takes care of them. And on the other side, the doctors feel positive feedback because the patients are saying, yes, I'm better, or thank you. It's a great pleasure to be your patient. So both sides are happy about it.
All right. So if I understand correctly, the company was registered in December of 2021.
It's actually, it registered was in May 2021, but it took us like 6 months to create and develop the application. So we officially launched the application in December.
And in December, you've already raised 440,000 euros, basically almost $500,000. That's a pretty nice sum for pre-seed round. How did you manage to do that?
How we collected it, I think the great point was that we focused on creating the very good story to show what's the market size, how we are different than any others. And it actually wasn't the easiest thing because we started to do it in probably March 2021. We finalized it in August, so it took us around 3 to 4 months to go around. But I think it was the idea, how we want to develop, that we need this money to start and to show the first results, and the clear part of why we need this money, what's the market size, what's our plan to develop the application was the key there.
What are you spending the money the most? Development, marketing, or something?
Yeah, so I think it wouldn't be surprised that it's mostly technology and development of application. I don't have the exact numbers, but I would say this is more than 50%. It's going for the development. To create the product, now to develop the second version of it with all of the feedback that we got from the doctors and the patients, and to deliver all of the new features that we have in our mind.
Are you planning to shoot for another round anytime soon?
So yeah, we actually had a round in April for 2.1 million euro. So we started to collect the second round, and the next round we are planning to have in around 1 year, so something like that, and it will be probably the Series A that we will be aiming for.
What are your expansion plans? You're currently operating in Poland only, right?
Yeah. So for now we have Poland, and this is like there were like 2 things that we want to do still within the next year. Not 2022, but like for the year from now. The one thing is to create a strong product market fit for Poland and to see where we are the most needed. For now, we see that it's the pediatrics and the family care. This is something that it's really working well for us. So this is one thing, to develop stronger in Poland, to have a presence in Poland in many places. The second thing that we aim to is to have at least one other country that we start with. We don't have yet selected a country. We think about more South Europe, Southern Europe, because they have a similar structure of payments. So there's a lot of out-of-pocket payments, and Germany, France, UK, other countries in Europe, like the bigger, older countries in Europe, have more insurance-based healthcare system, which is good for the future for us. But for now, as we focusing on the stakeholders, we want to do it on more southern regions.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
I watched your TEDx speech, which was great, by the way.
Thank you.
You're saying that you're talking about potential job loss because of technology and AI specifically. And what you're saying is that people should not be afraid to lose their jobs, but actually technology is going to bring improvements to their lives and make it more passionate and interesting. Could you please elaborate on that one a little bit? Yeah,
so the one thing is that my TED was 5 years ago, I think. So yeah, and I think I fortunately didn't change my mind on that, because you know, like there's a lot of change in life happening. But yeah, I think this is something that this is my positive side of looking on life in general, because you can always look on half a empty or half full glass of water, and I prefer to look of half full glass of water all the time. And I think that we are afraid of losing jobs and of being replaced by machines, which is actually the thing that we are afraid that since probably 40 years when the first Excel spreadsheets were available, and then the accountants were afraid that that they will be not counting like accountants do, because Excel spreadsheets will do it better. But instead, they will need to change the job. And 40 years later, we see that it's not happening like that. We still need accountants because there's still a lot of taxes and things that we are messing us up as people. So I believe that this can give us freedom, because if we have a support of technology, AI or just simple technology in general, it can help us to be better people, to be more focused on our passions, to be more focused on our families, on our friends, of building relationships, on things that we can be good at. So I believe the future will be this cooperation between technology and people, and that's why, for example, we'll be able to do things that, with the development in general of economy, to do things that we are dreaming about, so like 4-day work week or 3-day work week, and we see that, unfortunately, again, in 5 years ago, none of the governments were saying about it. Now, most of the governments of Europe are saying, maybe we'll think about the 4-day work week. So we see that we want to change that way, because why we are working as we work now is because of the Henry Ford from 100 years ago, when he said like 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, and yeah, it worked for a lot of people within last years. Hundreds of years, and I think this is the beginning of a change. So I hope technology will help us in that, and not destroy us as intelligent AI.
For sure. I've seen that you're doing a triathlon, right? Have you already managed to complete one?
Yeah, I actually did one 2 days ago.
Really?
Yeah, I did a half Ironman. Yeah, but I did two Ironmans exactly 1 year ago. I did the first one.
That's crazy.
In Gdynia.
I noticed that this is some kind of trend among startup founders around the world recently. Is there some kind of dependency with that?
I think, at least on my side, this is my 5th year that I'm doing triathlon. It gives you a lot of belief in yourself, because probably it's not the triathlon per se, but all of the sports that you are focusing on you, and you have the personal best, because I'm not competing with like top athletes. I'm not even competing with the top athletes in open groups, so of amateurs. I'm doing things to be better version of myself every day. So triathlon, it makes you on one side focused on 3 disciplines, so it's not the one discipline that you're focusing, so you need to change and you need to be flexible in what you're doing. And on the other side, with the with the amount of things that you need to do, because I'm doing more like 8 to 10 trainings a week, so most of the days I have two trainings a day. You need to be flexible, and on the other side you need to be very rigid with your schedule and do things. And you see the results. So you see that when you're running, then you're getting better, and when you're getting better, then you want to do it more and faster. And on the other side, there are days that you're depressed and you don't want to do anything. So you basically learn how to be in a startup when you have good days and bad days, but it doesn't depend on anybody else. It only depends on you and your strength and stamina and pace and everything. So I think this is the great learning about yourself, about your abilities. And I think I was talking with my friend like a month ago that this is one of the most important things that I did in my life, to become a startupper. The thing that changed me a lot was to start doing triathlons, because I then started to believe in myself. And when you are doing the Ironman and you're finishing the Ironman, you're saying like, oh, whoa, I really did it. So then you think you can do really a lot of things in your life.
That's awesome. And in the end, I usually ask our guests to give some kind of recommendations, some pieces of advice for startup founders. Maybe you already managed to do some mistakes that people are gonna listen to you and try not to repeat them in their own startups?
People are always saying that you need to be fast, and this is the world that we're living in now. That people in general are saying that things are changing fast, and you need to be fast, and you need to think fast and work fast and do things fast. But I really love the saying that slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and I believe, especially in startup, like, don't worry that you don't start it yet. I started thinking about the idea in 2018. I created a company in 2021, and actually it's just starting. So if I would think in the way that it is too late, I missed COVID times, because if I would probably start in 2018, I would have the advantage of COVID to be able to pump up Doctor.One, but we didn't. So I think I would what I would advise is to say, like, go slow and steady and smooth, because smooth is fast, and I believe this is the way that should be in startups, especially in healthcare, because this is life, and we need to care about it.
Great advice. I really want to hear more great news about Doctor.One soon.
Thank you.
So good luck with that.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your time, and I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you.